Here's your word for the day from Calvary in Lake Havasu. Visit us on the web at calvaryaz.com.
Good morning, Calvary. Pastor Chad here with your word for the day. Hey, we're in Mark 14 if you want to turn there in your Bible. What is your greatest failure? I mean, we've all had failures. We've all messed up. We've all made mistakes. But whatever your greatest one is, aren't you glad it's not recorded for everybody to see? I mean, a lot of us are old and we grew up without social media and cameras everywhere. So most of our major blunders were not recorded for posterity. But in today's text, we're reading Peter's greatest failure. Verse 66 of Mark 14 says, "And as Peter was below in the courtyard," this is right after Jesus' arrest, okay, and Peter follows along to check out what's happening. "And Peter was below in the courtyard. One of the servant girls of the high priest came, and seeing Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, 'You also were with the Nazarene Jesus.' But Peter denied it, saying, 'I neither know nor understand what you mean.' And he went out into the gateway, and the rooster crowed. And the servant girl saw him and began again to say to the bystanders, 'This man is one of them.' But again Peter denied it. And after a little while the bystanders again said to Peter, 'Certainly you are one of them, for you are a Galilean.' But Peter began to invoke a curse on himself and to swear, 'I do not know this man of whom you speak.' And immediately the rooster crowed a second time, and Peter remembered how Jesus had said to him, 'Before the rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times.' And Peter broke down and wept." Now that's failure. You've promised just hours before that you would even die for Jesus and you would never abandon him or deny him, and you've done both. So what do we take away from this? Everyone is capable of failure. The moment you tell yourself that couldn't happen to you is the moment you set yourself up for it to happen to you. We need to take sin seriously in our life, and we need to protect against it at all times. And because all of us are weak, we're all living in these flesh bodies that are addicted to sin, and sin wants to win, and we want to follow Jesus. So we can plan to be brave and faithful and obedient, and we'll still fail. That's why we need grace, and that's why God extends grace to us, because we fail. But he forgives. Because the other point is we know the rest of the story, right? We know about Jesus' death. We know about Jesus' resurrection. We know how he had the conversation, the awkward, uncomfortable conversation with Peter, and he restored Peter because Peter repented and he followed Jesus. So here's what the final point I'd take away. When you fail, be like Peter and not like Judas. Be like Peter, not like Judas. Judas failed and he gave up. He committed suicide. He took his life. He missed out on seeing what God's plan was for redemption of mankind and for the resurrection of Jesus from the dead. Peter stuck around. Even though he failed, even though he was humiliated, even though he was afraid, even though he was embarrassed, he stuck around. And guess what? He got to see the victory of Jesus. He got to see the resurrection of Jesus. He got to experience the restoration of Jesus. And he went on to be a great servant of Jesus. So just because you fail doesn't mean you're disqualified, doesn't mean you're out, doesn't mean that God will never use you again. It just means, like all the rest of us, you need a lot of grace. And God gives a lot of grace. And he still has work for you to do. I hope that encourages you. I hope that blesses you. Have a great day.